Good morning, good morning. I'm so used to doing my early morning intuitive guidance, I'm still stuck in that mode. Hello. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's Kick-Ass Coach and a psychologist, the owner of Empowerment Coaching. I help frazzled business owners, entrepreneurs, and others to overcome their overwhelm so that they can enjoy life and their business or their work more. So, welcome to today's edition of Dr. Bonnie Delivers, and this topic is really timely because given how things have been unfolding today, it's perfect for things that we need to be talking about. So, visibility, being seen. How comfortable are you with being seen? So we're going to do some talking about that. And if you can think of anybody that you know, the person who hates public speaking, the person who hates the sound of their voice, the person who will do anything and everything to avoid having to talk. We do a talking circle here once a week, and there's actually one woman who said that for years, as the circle made its way around to her, she'd get up and leave. So, we're going to have some interesting conversation about that. Please share this with anybody you think might be interested in our topic today about visibility, being seen, having your message be heard. So, if you stick with me till the end, I'm going to share a major aha that I had recently that I think can really help put this whole topic into an entirely different perspective. So, how did my topic for today arise? In addition to it coming out of the aha, I've had a lifelong battle with being visible, being seen. Because to be seen means your head sticking up out of the foxhole and someone can take a pot shot. Old messages. There were a lot of old messages. How many of you got the message that for children, better to be seen and not heard? That might be a message that you received. You're too loud. You're showing off. Oftentimes, oh yeah, you can smell that, can't you? My dog is helping me here. I had a treat sitting here to bribe her in case she started barking, but she smelled it. She wanted it now. We'll see how good we do the rest of the interview, or the rest of the conversation. I just read something recently that many women leaders report that as children, they were told that they were perceived as bossy. So when you run into a little girl who tends to have bossy tendencies, you might be looking at a future leader there. Don't squelch that bossiness. It may be part of who she's meant to be in the bigger picture, who Spirit intends her to be. What were the messages that you got about being visible? Did you get the better to be seen and not heard, or better to not be seen or heard? What kind of messages did you get? Please put in the comments what you picked up as a child about being seen, if it was safe, if it was not safe, etc. So I already had all of these messages in the beginning about better to be seen and not heard, you're too loud, etc. And then we add on some negative life experiences around being visible, such as high school speech class, where my goal was to hold onto the podium so tight that I didn't fall over, and hopefully I made it back to my seat without throwing up or wetting my pants. I hated public speaking, okay? Then, as I moved forward and got into a career as a psychologist, one of the things that typically happens when we're in school is we do reports on our research. And so I had a presentation I was doing at the Rocky Mountain Psychological Association meeting in Denver, where I was going to be reporting on the results of some research I had been a part of. And when it came time for my report, it was noon, everybody was hungry, the room was filled with 200 psychologists who'd already had their brains filled up with stuff during the course of the day, and they were not happy to hear from me. And on top of all of that, the person who had loaded, now this is going to date me, but there was no such thing as PowerPoint. We had slide reels. You plugged the slides into the little carousel and you clicked the little button and they went around. The person who had loaded my slides loaded them all upside down. So as I stood there fumbling around trying to get them flipped right side up again, thinking I just wish the ground would open and I could fall in, that was another not very pleasant experience in terms of visibility. In the past several years, I've been working diligently on getting more comfortable with visibility, and many of my mentors have been walking the walk with me. So one of my mentors, Shelly, has been instrumental in helping me through a lot of this stuff. So a while back, I don't know, maybe a year back, I was awakened in the middle of the night, startled out of this horrible nightmare. And the gist of the nightmare was that I had said something publicly that did not sit well with the villagers. I don't know why it was villagers, but it was. And I looked out my front window, and the villagers were standing there with knives and swords and machetes and torches and all kinds of things. The implication that I wasn't going to get out of this sucker alive, okay? So I startled awake, and by the next day I had a coaching call with my mentor and was relaying this story. This is why it isn't safe for me to be visible. This is why it's not safe for me to have a message and deliver that message, because I could get killed. And she goes, well, what happened in the nightmare? So I told her what I just told you guys. And she said, well, let's go out the door then. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They're all out there. They're going to kill me. She said, let's see what happens. So she did a guided imagery with me where I did indeed walk out the door and into that mob of angry villagers, and I was beheaded. So my body's laying there in my parking lot, and they cart my head off to town. God knows what they were going to do with it, but off it went to town. And there was a little boy still left standing there. And the man who beheaded me actually looked very much like Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride. Now, I loved The Princess Bride, but Andre in this particular nightmare wasn't real friendly. So they haul off with my head. This little boy's left standing there by my body, and he starts talking to me. And on the one hand, I'm pretty literal, I guess, when I'm doing guided imagery. And my thought was, how can I hear what he's saying when they took my ears away, when they took my head? But he was talking about how it didn't really matter that I had a body or I was alive or whatever. My message is what was important, and I could deliver my message regardless of whether or not I was in physical form. I thought that was pretty cool. So what that did for me was it really made it much easier for me to take a step up in terms of visibility. That's when I started doing Facebook Live videos like this one. So now I do a weekly video, this one, and I do a daily video. And so it really was helpful to process through what really would happen if that worst fear came true. Oh, I see Jerry's joining us. Hi, Jerry. So I want you to think about, what are your biggest fears about being more visible in your life, about sticking your head up out of that foxhole? Please post in the comments, what are your biggest fears about being visible? And I'm going to share some of mine here as we keep going. So given all this work that I've done, all of the things that I've figured out, all of the mentoring I've had around this idea of visibility, doing speeches for 200 hungry psychologists, getting through high school speech class and actually not throwing up on myself, and going through that nightmare and learning the lesson that was meant to be learned there, by now I should be really humming along, right? Really doing great with all this visibility stuff, doing Facebook Lives, all that happy stuff. Well, last week it ground to a screeching halt, which is why I decided to make this my topic for today. Because if I hit the wall this hard, having done the work I've done, I can't imagine how difficult it can be for a lot of you to keep things moving forward in terms of speaking your truth, being your real self, saying what you need to say, standing up for what you believe in, if you haven't even had the kinds of support that I've had in this process. So, what caused the screeching halt? I am doing a class that's a really awesome class, learning things about Facebook Live, and we have an opportunity to do interviews, remote Facebook Live interviews with the other people in the class. So I am going to be doing an interview with a woman, Suzanne, from Australia. Wait, hold it, put the brakes on. Australia, that's a long way from here. That's a whole lot of visibility. Oh my goodness, what if they hate me? What if I say something stupid? What if I throw up on myself? All of that stuff came roaring back. What if I screw up? So I kind of engineered a difficulty that wasn't going to allow me to connect with her last Friday when we had intended to connect. Friday my time, Saturday her time. That's how far away she is from me. And I begged off until this week. Now I will do it this week because even though I'm scared to death, I will show up. That's something you can count on with me. I do what I say I'm going to do. I will face that big fear. But it was interesting to me that I eluded having to deal with it for a week without much insight into the fact that that's what I was doing. It just seemed logical to me. But what was happening there was my conditioned self was operating. What if, what if, what if? And our conditioned self makes things sound reasonable that are really laughable. And the example of, as I become more visible, I'm going to get killed by the villagers. Pretty unreasonable when you say it out loud, but when you're feeling it, it's a whole different ball of wax. And let me give you an example from someone recently. I'm doing this event periodically called Breathwork in the Labyrinth, where people come and breathe with me in the labyrinth, and breathwork is a way of moving through very powerful emotions and freeing yourself up to be who you're supposed to be. Well, one of the participants called me up and said, Bon, I'm not going to make it for breathwork today. I have just too much to do. I have to make my bed. And I paused for a minute and I thought, did I hear that right? I have to make my bed? And so I said to her, let me feed that back to you, and I want you to listen with the intuitive part of yourself that knows what's going on here. And I said to her, Bon, I'm not going to make it for breathwork today. I have to make my bed. And she busted out laughing and she goes, well, that was conditioned self, wasn't it? I'll be there. She showed up. She had a very profound experience with the breathwork. It was as if her conditioned self knew she was on the cusp of a big change and jumped in to thwart that. If I hadn't called her on it, she just wouldn't have come and she would have missed that beautiful opportunity for growth. So, what I suggest you do is say your reasons out loud. Say it so that you can hear it, so that you can see, does this really hold water, or is this one of those I have to make the bed kinds of comments? Okay? So, now that you've hung in here this long with me, I want to share with you the nugget of gold that I got out of this process. Once I realized what was literally going on, what was behind my fear of being interviewed by the woman from Australia, I had this amazing aha. And I want to share that aha with you because I think it may be helpful to you in terms of becoming more visible with your message, what your purpose is, what you're here to do. The big aha is that underneath all of those fears, all of those what ifs, all of those catastrophizing statements is ego. E-G-O. Ego. It was my ego getting in the way. Okay? So, all worried about what other people are going to think, all concerned about what kinds of judgments were going to be made. How many of us fail to speak up about things that are really important to us because we're afraid we're going to be judged? Okay? How many of us keep our message to ourselves rather than putting ourselves out there and spreading the word that we're meant to spread? I have a friend who right now has an awesome program for helping people begin to love their bodies and begin to take better care of their bodies and release the pounds of pain, the pounds of weight that does not serve them, but they haven't been able to get it to budge. She's afraid to put that program out there for fear that people will judge her. well, I'm not healthy enough, or I'm not perfect weight, or I'm not all. Who cares? You have a message to share. It's a powerful message. It will help many, many people. Get it out there regardless. Okay? So, the more focused we are on our mission, why we are here, what our message is to share, the less we're focused on how do I look? What are people thinking about me? How do I sound? Did I say something stupid? The more I focus on my message, the less I focus on all of that unimportant stuff. Just deliver the message, Bon. That's all that matters. That's all that counts. That's what I keep telling myself. Even today, coming into this video, right before doing this video, I had a couple of unpleasant phone calls to make, and I wasn't real happy about it, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. But again, it was me needing to speak my truth about that, and I did it. I showed up. I put on my big girl panties, and I did it. Then I needed to regroup in order to come here. So right before going live, I just said a little prayer. Okay, God, make me your instrument. Have me say the words that you want me to say, that you need me to convey to people, that fit with my message of we're all capable of far more than we think we are. Okay? Here's the deal, though. Most of us have gotten a lot of negative experiences about who we are. All we've got to do with this is be our authentic self, be our real self. But how many of us have been told, especially little on, that our real self, our authentic self, wasn't good enough? Either was too much of something or not enough of something else. I was always told I was too loud, okay? Now that may not have pleased my parents way back when, but it certainly serves me well when I'm doing public speaking, to be a louder person. My other sister was told she was too shy, okay? Again, too much of this, not enough of that. Here's the deal. It's all bullshit. It's all someone else's perception of us. And oftentimes, I'm going to give you a little cue here. Oftentimes, the person who's judging us on some aspect of ourself has that aspect thwarted within themselves. So, for example, when my mom would say, "You're so loud," she was a leader. She was a born leader. Brilliant woman. Never had the opportunities. Got married, had kids, did what she was supposed to do, okay? So her leadership qualities got very thwarted. They weren't allowed to blossom. So when she saw the same in me, yes, it frustrated her. So, again, when someone judges you on something, oftentimes, if you can remember, it's probably a thwarted part of themselves. That can help you just keep going. Just be who you are. If you're loud, be loud. If you're shy, be shy. Whatever you are, truly, honestly, be that. Okay? So, and I want you to think about what matters here. What really matters here. What matters here is you, your authentic self, and your message. What you are here to tell people. Mine is that we're all capable of far more than we think we are. Someone else's may be that we're all children of God. Someone else's may be that no one can put us down unless we allow it. You have a message to share, okay? And if you don't share that message, the people who are meant to hear it from you are never going to get it. Don't let yourself off the hook by saying, well, someone else can say the same thing, or there are multiple people out there saying the same thing. Do you think there aren't a bunch of people out there saying we're all capable of far more than we think we are? Hell yes. But when I say it, there's certain people who are going to hear it where they may not hear it from those other people. Have you ever had it when you're sitting at a conference table or in a meeting or whatever, and someone says something and it doesn't register, and 2 minutes later someone else says it, they may not even change any of the words, and it's like, whoa, best idea in the world, right? You're the one who's meant to deliver your message. And if you shy away from it, if you choose not to deliver it, the people who are meant to hear it from you are never going to hear that message. Isn't that sad? Okay? I want you to think about great humanitarians, great leaders. And I picked 3 in my mind, but of course there's many. But the 3 that I picked were Nelson Mandela, Jimmy Carter, and Mother Teresa. Do you think they cared how they looked or what people thought about what they said? They delivered their message. They were in service of the message. It wasn't about if people liked them or didn't like them. It was about, am I conveying the message? Be in service to your message, okay? So again, if you're focused on fear, when you think about public speaking or when you think about sharing with other people your opinions, if you feel fear, know that that is your ego. That is your ego talking, okay? If you're focused on the message and how you can get the message across so that the most people can relate to it and hear it, that's your authentic self. And that's what we're aiming for here. Okay, so I'm creating the Dr. Bonnie Visibility Challenge, all right? And I'm going to challenge all of you. How will you be seen? How will you bring your message to the people who are meant to hear it? How will you step outside your comfort zone and deliver that message to the people who are waiting to hear it from you? If you're not sure what your message is, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I have no idea what my message is. Let's try a little something here. I want you to think about you have just been blessed with the world stage for 5 minutes. So as you're going up the steps and you see that microphone and the podium there waiting just for you, and you're walking across that stage and you're looking out at the sea of people that constitute every human being on the face of this earth, and you reach the microphone and you open your mouth, what do you most want those people to hear from you? What is most important for you to say? It doesn't have to be eloquent. It might be something like, you're all wonderful people, or I love you all, or there is only love, or whatever your message is. What do you want to say in that 5 minutes? Because in that 5 minutes, there's your message. There's your message. Write it out. Set a timer for 5 minutes. How many words can you throw on the page in 5 minutes of your message? Okay? And of course, with the Dr. Bonnie Visibility Challenge, I'm going to lead by example, okay? So, and I'd like your help doing that. My ego's biggest fear was the interview with Suzanne, the interviews back and forth, her interviewing me, me interviewing her, that was going to give me far greater visibility, and I was afraid how far and wide that might go. So, my challenge is I'm going to see how far and wide this video can go, all right? So I'd like you to put your state and country in the comments section and share this with people far and wide. How far can we get this thing to go, all right? I live in Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula, the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I'm going to send it to my sister in Oregon, and I'm going to ask her to send it to someone as far away as she knows. And what I want to do is blast my little ego self off of the fear perch to see that this can go far and wide and nothing bad happens. And it doesn't matter if someone says, well, that Dr. Bonnie, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or did you see that ugly scarf she was wearing, or whatever they would say. I can't believe she swore. Whatever. It does not matter. As long as my message is getting out, that's all that really matters. Okay? So, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what this is challenging you to do, how this is challenging you to look at things in a different way. What was most thought-provoking about this video that you're just watching? To sum up today's message, don't let your little fear-based ego get in the way of you being the big person you're meant to be in delivering your message here on earth, okay? You came here with a mission. Accomplish it, all right? And if you'd like some help with this, let me give you some resources. You can check out my website. I've got a lot of blog posts on there. My website's in the middle of being revamped. I'm really excited about the new version that'll be coming soon, hopefully. But for now, you can check out my website. It's www.empowermentandpurpose.com. And while you're there, if you sign up for my free audio download, which right now is 10 minutes for breathing life into your life, and shortly is going to be Stop Playing Small, Power Up Your Life in 8 Kick-Ass Steps. That will get you into my mailing list so that I can keep you apprised of things that are going on. You can also like my Facebook business page, Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum. And soon I'm also going to be creating a private Facebook page for the Dr. Bonnie Delivers. And I'll let you know when that's ready. But also, if you are a cut to the chase, let's get her done kind of person, which is sort of like I am, contact me either through my website, there's a contact there, or you can private message me from this page, and we can do a 15-minute free phone call where I can help you figure out what your message to be sharing with the world is. So that's it for this week's Dr. Bonnie Delivers. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist. And remember, we're all capable of far more than we think we are.